welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Morgan and I am a 6th grade math and science teacher, and I also love all things Disney. And on today's video, we are going to be comparing the songs from Mary Poppins Returns to the songs from the OG Mary Poppins. All of the songs that kind of line up with one another, and I'm going to pick my favorite from the two. And at the very end, I'm going to tell you which movie is my absolute favorite. The Mary Poppins Returns with Emily Blunt, or Mary Poppins, the OG, with Julie Andrews. So let's see which Mary Poppins reigns supreme, Julie Andrews or Emily Blunt. So let's go ahead and get started. And make sure you stay tuned to the very end of the video for a very special surprise. So before we go any further, I do have to say this is a huge collaboration with Matt over at Teacup for One. I will leave him linked down below in the description below here and up above here as well. And he is doing this really awesome week to week, or I think it might be, I don't know if it's every week or bi-weekly, but he's basically doing a theme week where he is doing movies from the Great Movie Ride. So if you don't know what the Great Movie Ride is, it's basically a ride that used to be at Disney World where you would go on and you would become part of the show. And it would go through the greatest movies basically of the times when the movie was, before the ride was created. So you go through Indiana Jones, Wizard of Oz, and of course, Mary Poppins. He already had 1 week. I'm not sure what the theme was, but this is the second week. And he will actually be doing a live show tonight, Wednesday, April 21st. And I will leave that link also linked down below. Even if you miss it, you can watch the replay. I will not be on the live, unfortunately, because I do have work, but he will have all the other channels participating, and they also have videos. So make sure you go check all of them out to watch all of their great Mary Poppins inspired videos. So let's go ahead and get into this one. I have a very special surprise at the end for you guys, and make sure you stay tuned all the way to the end for an extra entry in my giveaway. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to give you guys a quick synopsis first of the movie, and then I'm going to go ahead and get into the different songs. So if you've never seen Mary Poppins before, this video might not make much sense to you, but that's okay. Basically, and warning, spoilers alert, spoilers. If you haven't seen it and you want to watch it, don't go any further, go watch it and then come back to this. Basically, the original Mary Poppins is a nanny that flies in to help a family that is struggling, and she helps the family and the father see that he needs to spend more time with his children, and a lot of crazy things happen because she's not just any ordinary nanny, and then she basically leaves the family happier than when she came, and they're become a family again. I believe this is set in like 1910. So Mary Poppins is set in 1910. So I was pretty close, 1940, pretty close. But Mary Poppins is set in 1910. So that is, if you're not very sure, that's before World War One. One? Yes, one. Right before World War One broke out. So that's basically how it goes. And then Mary Poppins Returns, it stars Emily Blunt and Lin-Manuel Miranda. And they basically, so Emily Blunt is the new Mary Poppins. And what basically happens with them is very similar to the first movie, which we'll go over all the similarities and differences in just a minute. But just a quick synopsis, the children in the original now have grown up, and they have their own lives and are married and have their own kids and their own issues. And Mary Poppins returns to help him find his way back to his children, because basically he's become very similar to his father and neglecting his kids. And she kind of helps fix their life. And again, she leaves them happier than when she came. All right. So there are a lot more songs in the original Mary Poppins than in Mary Poppins Returns. And I think that's just because of like back then movies were a lot longer, and they've kind of just gotten shorter and shorter and shorter. So I won't be mentioning all the Mary Poppins songs. I'm just mentioning the ones that kind of have like, and I'm not mentioning all the Mary Poppins Returns ones either. I'm just kind of mentioning the ones that kind of link up together, and I'm going to kind of battle them against each other. So our first battle is A Life I Lead, which is sung by the father in the original Mary Poppins video versus, in the original Mary Poppins movie, versus A Conversation, which is one of the very first songs sung in Mary Poppins Returns. And that is sung by, again, the father, who is now Michael, and he's singing about his wife who is now gone. They're two very different songs. A Conversation is very kind of sad and has a dreary tone, whereas A Life I Lead, he's kind of singing about how great his life is. So I'm going to have to go with A Conversation from Mary Poppins Returns, because like that one is just so sweet and it's so meaningful because he's singing about his dead wife, and it just brings me to tears every single time. So I have to go with that one. Our next matchup is A Spoonful of Sugar and Can You Imagine That? Both of these songs are the very first songs that Mary Poppins in both movies sings. So they are a perfect matchup together, and they are both sung to the children, and both kind of both kind of contain Mary showing the children that she is not any ordinary nanny. On this one, they're both very cheery, and they're very different. In A Spoonful of Sugar, they're cleaning up the nursery, and in Can You Imagine That, they're taking a bath and kind of going into the water and under the sea. But I have to go with nostalgia, and I'm going to choose A Spoonful of Sugar. So that is 1-for-1 Mary Poppins, one for each movie. These two do not occur at the same time, and there's kind of like a difference. So, Chimmery and Under the Lovely London Sky. Under the Lovely London Sky is from the very new one, and that is actually the very first. That's how the movie starts out. But they are both the main song that the Dick Van Dyke character in the new one, who's played by Lin-Manuel Miranda, and Chimmery is the very first song that Dick Van Dyke sings. So they're very comparable. They both kind of have the same tone about wonder and how great life is right now, and how cheerful they are, even though they don't have like the best jobs or the most money and things. It's a really hard one. This is a really, 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 really hard one. But I'm going to have to go with a tie. I can't pick between the two. They are just both so good. Lin-Manuel Miranda is such a good singer, and this song really opens up the whole mystery of Mary Poppins, and it's just so perfect. It's even better than the overture, which is the same in both movies. And then Chimmery, like, how can you not pick that one? Like, how can you, like, that is like a classic song. I just say it all the time, like, Chimmery, chim-chimmery, chim-chim-chiroo, doo-doo. Like, I love that song, so I can't pick between the two of them, so I'm just gonna give both of them a point. The next is A Jolly Holiday with Mary, which they sing as they go into the painting. And then Royal Dalton Music Hall, which is kind of the equivalent. They go into a bowl in the second one. And so they're both riding through the countryside in both of these. So I'm going to have to go with, for this one, Royal Dalton Music Hall from the new Mary Poppins Returns. I just think that song was so good. Lin-Manuel Miranda and Emily Blunt really sold that song for me, and I just loved it so much. The next song is Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious and A Cover Is Not a Book. I'm gonna have to say it's another tie. A Cover Is Not a Book is probably one of the absolute best songs from the brand new movie, and is probably the only one I actually remembered, and I had to look all the other ones up. And that is just, it's such a playful song, and it's so awesome. And supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, like, hello, how can you not remember that song? That is just pure nostalgia. So a point for both. This one is kind of like a 3-parter. So the 2 songs that actually really go together from Mary Poppins and Mary Poppins Returns is Stay Awake and A Place Where Lost Things Go. Those are the ones that that technically match up. But in the new one, there was no Feed the Birds equivalent. Not that I could at least tell from it. If you know of a Feed the Birds equivalent in the new movie, please leave it down below. But I'm pretty sure they didn't, because that's just too much of an iconic song to kind of challenge with a new song. So, this kind of has Stay Awake and Feed the Birds and A Place Where Lost Things Go. And I gotta say, I gotta go with Mary Poppins, the original OG Feed the Birds on this one. I don't even like Stay Awake that much. That song makes me go to sleep even while I'm watching the movie, which is probably why I have never gotten through the movie until like a few days ago. So definitely Feeds the Birds takes the cake on that one. That is a beautifully done song by Julie Andrews, and she sung it so perfectly. I just couldn't, and that's probably why the new movie does not have an equivalent, because there is just no matching that song. The next one is I Love to Laugh and Turning Turtle. So this is where they go to visit the crazy relative of Mary Poppins. In the first one, it's the crazy Uncle Albert who has a laughing problem. And in the second one, it is, I think it's either the aunt or the cousin Topsy, played by Meryl Streep, who has who like on the second or third Tuesday of every month, her entire house turns upside down and she doesn't know which way is up. And I gotta say, Mary Poppins Returns takes the cake on that one. That was such a fun song. I Love to Laugh kind of just annoys me. I don't know why. It's just kind of like repetitive and annoying. But Turning Turtle, that was such a fun scene, a fun song. And I don't know if it's because Meryl Streep's in it, and I love me some Meryl Streep, but that was definitely one of my favorites. Another song that I feel like needs mention in here from the original is the Fidelity Fiduciary Bank song that is sung when the kids go to the bank and they kind of talk about the Tuppets. But there's no equivalent in this movie to that song. And I think that is a great song that really shows where the father stands in line where it comes to his job and his kids. So I felt like it needed to be mentioned. But no points for that one. All right, the next, and we're getting down to the last few. There's only 2 left. So the next one that kind of lines up is Step in Time and Trip a Little Light Fantastic. These are both kind of the big overarching songs for the Dick Van Dyke characters, to make the kids feel better about the situation that has just happened with their father in both the new one, or in both the old one and the new one. And they have great dance numbers, and you guys get to see the different, in the first one they are chimney sweeps, and then the second one they are lumineers, who are people that are basically lamplighter. And again, I gotta say, Step in Time, Mary Poppins, that is, again, such an iconic song. I sing it all the time. It always gets stuck in my head, and I can never forget the words. And that one is just so close to my heart. I love that song. I love that dance break. I think it's fantastic. And finally, our last 2 comparable songs are the very last songs in both movies, which in Mary Poppins, it's Let's Go Fly a Kite. And in Mary Poppins Returns, it's Nowhere to Go But Up. And for this one, I gotta say, I gotta go with Let's Go Fly a Kite. It's, again, just a classic song. Everyone knows it. Everyone knows the words if you've ever seen the movie. Or even if you haven't, you probably know the words. Let's go fly a kite up to the highest heights. Like, I love that song. It has such a good melody. I'm not a music person, but I just love that song. And Nowhere to Go But Up, yeah, it's a great song, but I just don't think it can beat the original. And that's why my favorite movie is going to be Mary Poppins, the OG Mary Poppins, out of the both of them. Even though I really liked Mary Poppins Returns, and I think it drew my attention a lot more than the first one, I just think that the songs from the first one cannot be beat and cannot be matched. And there's just so many good ones that we didn't even get to talk, that don't even have an equivalent in the new one, like Feed the Birds, for example. One of the probably most iconic songs from Mary Poppins, and they don't even have an equivalent in the second one, and I think that's because they knew they could not top it. So, I gotta go with the great Mary Poppins. And, yeah. So in the comments down below, let me know which one is your favorite song from either the old or the new. And if you agree with me, is Mary Poppins Julie Andrews' version better than the new Mary Poppins Return Emily Blunt's version? What do you think? Have you watched it? And I have a little secret word for you, a little secret comment for you to also comment down below to get entered an extra entry in my giveaway, which I will leave linked up right here and down below for you. And that is, I have recreated 2 of my very favorite dances. If you didn't know, I'm also a dancer and a dance teacher. So I've recreated 2 of my very favorite dances from the original movie in honor of this video that will come at the very end. And you just have to name one of those songs or dance moves, because the one doesn't have a song name. But you just have to name one of the dances in the comments below to be entered for an extra entry in my giveaway. And I will see you guys on the next one. Make sure you give this video a big thumbs up and make sure you subscribe for my giveaway. And I will see you guys on the next one. Bye.